So how can we handle exceptions? And we can use try catch blocks, finally block, throw and throws keywords. These are the 5 keywords we're going to use to handle the exceptions. Try catch, finally throw and throws keywords. So these are the 5 keywords we can use to handle these exceptions. We have seen arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, number format exception, array index out of bounds exception. Okay, if that exception occurs, can we continue our program? Yes, you can continue execution of your program till the end of the line. And so you need to use this Java try catch blocks and finally block. So what is Java try block? So Java try block is used to enclose the code that might throw an exception. It must be used within the method only. Try catch block will be used within the method only. So which line is throwing an exception? That line you enclose in the try block. If an exception occurs at the particular statement of try block, the rest of the code will not execute. Suppose in the try block 3 lines or 4 lines you have. In the second line exception occurred. The below lines in the try block is not going to execute. So it is recommended not to keep the code in try block that will not throw an exception. If it is not relevant code, don't keep in the try block. You put outside the try block. If it is relevant to that lines of code which is throwing an exception, then you can keep in the try block. Otherwise, it's not going to help you. Java try block must be followed by either catch or finally block. So Java try block must be followed by either catch or finally block. So that's a Java try block, how it is. And the syntax is try, catch, exception type. So the exception class name you have to write. There are many exception class names, right? Throwable, exception, IO exception, file not found exception, SQL exception. These are all exception types or runtime exception classes also you can write here and give some reference, object reference. Then you can write t.print stack trace. One method is there. That method you can use to print the complete stack trace. This is the try catch block. So without a try block, catch block alone doesn't exist. So there must be a try block, then catch block you can write. So try block after, so end curly braces, immediately you need to start the catch block. Catch block parenthesis inside, you must write the exception type, then reference you have to write. This is the syntax of try catch. Or you can use try finally block also. Try, so try block code that may throw an exception, then you write finally block. Finally block you can write here, and that's the try catch, or try catch finally also you can write. Whichever you want you can write. So the catch block. So what this catch block? So catch block is used to handle the exception by declaring the type of exception within the parameter. So the declared exception must be the parent class exception, like exception class or throwable class, or the generated exception type, or a small exception below you have many child classes, right? Either those also you can write there. So the good approach is declare the generated type exception, and the catch block must be used after try block only. You can use multiple catch blocks with a single try block also. See, this is the one Java multi-catch block syntaxes. So a try block can be followed by one or more catch blocks. Some situations where we will get in the Selenium, you will use one try block multi-catch blocks because you want to handle multiple catch blocks, but at a time only one catch block will be caught, not all. So each catch block must contain a different exception handler. So if you have to perform different tasks at the occurrence of different exceptions, so Java multi-catch block will help us. So what are the points you need to remember? Multi-catch block is at a time only one exception occurs, and at a time only one catch block is executed. So even though if you have multiple catch blocks, at a time only one catch block will be executed for you. All catch blocks must be ordered from most specific to most general. Most specific, which is a child, then next child, then last you have to write a root exception class name, like exception class or throwable class. Catch for arithmetic exception must come before the catch for exception. That means arithmetic exception first will come, then exception last. Like that, that's the order you have to follow. So this is the try catch blocks. Try, so int array equal to new int, so array of 5, a of 5 equal to 30/0. Here two exceptions occurring in these two lines. So first one is arithmetic exception. So first one is arithmetic exception because the number is divided by 0. That's why arithmetic exception you will get. So catch arithmetic exception E. Second catch, see that the array size is 5, but you are inserting in the 6th place. That will throw array index out of bounds exception. So you can write that exception. Last one, suppose other than these two exceptions, there might be a chances of occurring some more exception. So how can we handle that? So catch exception E. You have to handle exception E. So system.out.println parent exception occurs here. Then outside of all the try catch blocks, rest of the code will execute. So this is the single try block or multi catch blocks you can use. Okay. Any questions?
Ramesh.
Yes.
Finally block. Finally block is very important. This is used to execute an important code. At any cost, whatever the code is skipped, but this block inside, any code you write, that always going to be executed. Like database connection closing, file handling connection closing, all this kind of code you can write in this finally block. Because you created objects, and if you are not closing them, unnecessary waste of memory. So you want to close that connections, you can write such kind of code in the finally block. So finally block code gets executed always. So always executed, whether exception is handled or not, it doesn't matter. So always finally block code will execute for you. Even the above code is skipped also. Exception, due to exception that is skipped, then cursor will come directly to finally block. And the whatever is there in the finally block, that code will execute. So Java finally block follows either try or catch blocks. So try finally you can write, or try catch finally you can write. This is the order you can write it like this: try block, then catch block, then finally block. So this is the order you can write. Otherwise, only try finally also you can write. So let's see here a simple example of finally block. So you can see here the exception occurred in the try block, which has been handled in catch block. After that, finally block got executed. You can see here try. So int num equal to 121/0. So system.out.println number I am printing, but here arithmetic exception might occur. That's why I caught it here with the catch block. Arithmetic exception E So system.out.println number should not be divided by 0. So this I just put some message in the catch block. Then finally system.out.println, this is finally block. So this code will execute always, and the rest of the code out of try catch finally. So this line of code out of try catch. So what will happen here? Exception occurs, and then cursor will go to catch block. Catch block will execute. After catch block, it will go to finally block. If there is an exception in the try block, immediately catch block will call and catch that error, and it will throw for us. After catch block, finally block will execute. So then if there is no exception in the try block, what will happen? Catch block won't execute. Catch block doesn't execute, and it will jump directly to finally block. So that means finally block, whether exception occurs or doesn't occur, it doesn't matter. Always it is going to execute. So exception occur time, also finally block will execute. If there is no exception here, then catch block won't execute, then finally block will execute. That means catch block will execute only if there is an exception in the try block. If there is no exception in the try block, catch block is not going to execute. Any questions? That's a Java try catch finally blocks. So why we need to use a finally block? Finally block in Java can be used to put cleanup code such as closing a file, closing connections. So these are the things we can do that. And cases when the finally block doesn't execute. So when the finally block doesn't execute, so the death of a thread. So if the thread is killed, so that time the finally block is not going to execute. When you use the system.exit, then also finally block doesn't execute. Due to the exception arising in the finally block, that time also finally block is going to be skipped. Finally, under close methods. A close method is used to close all the open streams in a program. It's a good practice to use close method inside the finally block. Since finally block executes even if exception occurs, so you can be sure that all input and output streams are closed properly regardless of whether exception occurs or not. That's why close method is used. And Java throw keyword. Java throw keyword. And Java throw keyword is used to explicitly throw an exception. You want to throw your exception explicitly at runtime, you can use throw keyword. And we can throw either checked or unchecked exception in Java by throw keyword. The throw keyword is mainly used to throw a custom exception message. So in the array programs, I have used this custom exception thing. So then this is the kind of things we are going to use. Syntax of throw keyword. Throw new exception class. So error message can give. This is the syntax of throw keyword. Throw new exception class. So new exception class and parenthesis inside the error message. What is this? What do you call that?
Parameterized constructor.
What you can call this? New exception class parenthesis semicolon. What do you call this?
Constructor.
Object creation.
Object.
That's the right answer. Object, right?
Yeah.
So this part is a constructor, but this entire thing, new keyword comes, that's an object.
Yes.
Okay. So for example, this is the one. Throw new arithmetic exception class. So dividing a number by 5 is not allowed in this program. This is your custom message you can write here. So for this class, you're using a parameterized constructor, but this new class name means this is an object. That means throw is followed by an object. So you can write this throw keyword in the method inside. Method inside you will write throw keyword. So the example of throw keyword is, let's say we have a requirement where we need to only register the students when their age is less than 12 and weight is less than 40. If any of the condition is not met, then the user should get an arithmetic exception with the warning message, student is not eligible for registration. We have implemented the logic by placing the code in the method that takes the student eligibility. If the entered student age and weight doesn't meet the criteria, then we are throwing a exception. So using throw keyword. So that's what we are doing here. See that public class throw example, static void check eligibility, int student age, comma int student weight. If student age is less than 12 and student weight is less than 40, so throw new arithmetic exception. Student is not eligible for registration. So if student age is less than 12 and student weight is less than 40, he is not eligible for registration, else student entry is valid. So for example, 10 and 39 you give, and this is less than 12 and 40, right? So, and you will get this exception message. That's what you can see here. So welcome to the registration process. Then this method you called, that method is throwing java.lang arithmetic exception, student is not eligible for registration. But basically arithmetic exception default message is divided by 0, you will get the default message. But here we are throwing our custom message. For this arithmetic exception class, we are throwing our custom message. How is it possible? With the throw keyword, that is possible. You can override the message with a throw keyword. That's the arithmetic exception means. Okay, so any questions? That's a throw keyword. So what is the purpose of throw keyword? Throw keyword is used to throw a custom exception message, and you can throw a custom message using throw new keyword, and throw is followed by an object, and throw is used within the method. That's a few points. Next, throws keyword. Throws keyword. What is throws keyword? What is throws keyword? Java throws keyword is used to declare an exception. Throw keyword is to throw a custom message for your exception classes. But a throws keyword is used to declare an exception, and it gives an information to the programmer who is coding, and that person can get an information that there might occur an exception. So it is better for the programmer to provide the exception handling code so that normal flow can be maintained. If you are not handling that, while writing the code itself, you will get that information. That means the throws keyword you need to use at compile time itself. That means checked exceptions you can handle, even unchecked exceptions also you can write. But when the exception occurred, you need to handle them. So exception handling is mainly used to handle the checked exceptions. If there occurs any unchecked exception, such as null pointer exception, arithmetic exception, number format exception, array index out of bounds exception, it is programmer's fault that he is not performing checkup before the code being executed. So that's the thing. But how can we use this throws keyword? So we know that there are two types of exception, checked and unchecked. Checked exceptions occurs at compile time, force you to handle them in the compile time itself. If you don't handle them, then the program will not compile. So compile time error you will get. And on the other hand, unchecked exceptions occurs at runtime, so doesn't get checked during the compilation. So they won't bother about the compilation time, but at runtime they will throw an exception. Throws keyword is used for handling checked exceptions. By using throws, we can declare multiple exceptions in one go. One time itself we can declare multiple exceptions. Okay, So you will get confusion, right? You have a try catch block to handle the exceptions. Again, this throws keyword. So why do we need this too? What is the need of having throws keyword when you can handle exception using try catch block? Again, why do you need throws keyword? Why can't you do with the try catch block? Well, that's a good question. So we already know we can handle the exception using try catch block. You can use try catch block, no issues. The throws does the same thing that a try catch does. But there are some cases where you would prefer throws over a try catch. Let me take an example. Let's say we have a method, my method, that has statements that can throw either arithmetic exception or null pointer exception. In this case, you can use try catch as shown like this. Say my method, public void my method, try catch arithmetic exception, catch null pointer exception. These are the two exceptions I handled in my method. Okay. Now, but suppose you have several such methods that can cause exceptions. In that case, it would be tedious to write this try catch for each method, right? And it will become very lengthy also. The code will become unnecessarily long and will be less readable. Catch these points. So if you use a try catch block in each method, if you keep writing, it will be long. Your method will be very big. It will become looks big and then less readable. And one way to overcome this problem is by using throws. So declare the exceptions, the method signature using throws, and handle the exceptions where you are calling this method by using try catch. So instead of try catch, you can just declare here in the method signature line that exception with the throws keyword, so that it will give a much readable format and less code you can write. That's advantage with the throws keyword. So another advantage of using this approach is that you will be forced to handle exception when you call this method. And for example, if you have a exception in the method where you are defining the method and you have used throws syntax declaration, and wherever you are calling that method, there also it will ask you, force you to declare the exceptions, or you can use a try catch block also there where you are calling the method. So all the exceptions that are declared using throws must be handled where you are calling this method, else you will get a compilation error. So this is the second advantage. Okay, so these are the two advantages you can tell. So why throws keyword you need to use if there is a try catch block, and you can easily so get it answered by these two lines. See that public void my method throws arithmetic exception null pointer exception. See how much code we are reducing. Simple, very simple method it becomes. So all these blocks and curly braces you can avoid completely. See public static void main method, wherever you are calling that method, maybe if you want you can add try catch blocks. Otherwise there also it becomes clumsy, right? It's very lengthy. Just declare here also with the throws keyword. Then you won't get all the, you don't need all these try catch blocks. That's the so how you can write a compact code with the throws keyword. So example of throws keyword is, so in this example the method my method is throwing two checked exceptions. So we have declared these exceptions in the method signature using throws keyword. If you don't declare these exceptions, then the program will throw a compilation error. See that class throws example void my method int num throws IO exception, comma class not found exception. These are the checked exceptions, right? If number 1 equal to 1, throw new IO exception. So IO exception occurred. Else throw new class not found exception. Class not found exception. See that I'm using here throws keyword as well as throw keyword also, and you can call that. So that method, main method inside, you can call this my method. And so try throw example. So the method, another class you are calling. So object equal to new throw example, object dot my method 1. If I given 1, so IO exception occurred will be thrown to you. So that's how, see that IO exception occurred, it is throwing. So this is the kind of, so where you can see this throws keyword. Mostly used format is this one, throws keyword. Okay, so instead of try catch, okay, so that's the throws keyword. Any questions here? So the very important interview questions. So difference between throw and throws keywords, and difference between final, finally, and finalize. So all confusing keywords, right? That's why they are asking this question many times in the interviews. So let's discuss first throw and throws keyword. So Java throw keyword is used to explicitly throw an exception. Java throws keyword is used to declare an exception. If you want to declare an exception, you can use throws keyword. Explicitly your custom message, if you want to throw, you can use throw keyword. So throw keyword is used. So checked exceptions cannot be propagated using throw. Only unchecked exceptions you can propagate with the throw keyword. And the throws keyword is used to handle checked exceptions with the throws keyword. Checked exceptions can be propagated with the throws. And throw is followed by an instance, right? Instance means what? Object. Throw, new, class name, right? So throw is followed by an instance. And throws is followed by class. This is the one. See that? Throws is followed by a class. But throw is followed by an object, an instance of a class, an object we call that. Throw is used within the method. See that we used every time throw within the method only. This is the within the method. But throws is used in the method signature line. Throws is used with the method signature. You cannot throw multiple exceptions. You can declare multiple exceptions, like see that throws IO exception, comma, SQL exception. This is the throw and throws keyword, right? So these are the keywords.
Ramesh, a question.
Yeah.
When we use just a throw keyword, can we use more than one throw keyword? Like you said, say suppose there's an error for
One throw means in the different if else you can use, but
Oh,
at the same line you cannot use.
Okay.
So if else statement are in different line you can use, but same line you cannot use.
Okay.
Object only one you can pass for the throw, but here throws you can pass multiple classes.
It's at
the
a
same
time.
line.
Yeah.
At a time.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question?
రమేష్
Yeah.
ఇది నాన్ స్టాటిక్ మెథడ్ లోనే తీసుకోవాలా స్టాటిక్ మెథడ్ లో
Any
తీసుకోవాలా
method, madam. Any
Okay.
method. It doesn't matter. Code you won't write only in static method, right? Even you can write static and non-static. Both places you can write. It doesn't matter where exception occurs. If exception is occurring, you can write anywhere. Anywhere you can use these things, right? So the last one is the difference between a final, finally, and finalize. A final is a non-access modifier keyword which is applied on the class, method, variable. And when you create a final class, that class cannot be extended. When you create a final method, that method cannot be overridden. When you declare a final variable, that variable value cannot be changed. And final is a non-access modifier keyword. A finally is a block to place an important code, and it will execute it whether exception is handled or not. It doesn't matter exception occurred or not. All the cases finally block code, whatever you write in the finally block, that code will get executed always. A final is a block in exception handling. Then what is a finalize? A finalize is a method in the object class. A finalize is used to perform cleanup processing just before object is being garbage collected. So garbage collector, daemon default garbage collector will call this finalize method before object is cleaning up. So that's the finalize method you will use. So it looks similar, right? That's why people are asking this question. So don't get confused with these keywords. We already know final, we are discussing from the beginning. Finally block we discussed now. Finalize I already explained in the object class methods. I don't know whether you remember. That's all about this. So let's go and practice these programs on exception handling. So any questions before going to the exceptions? So let's create a new package, exception handling. Overall, I'm moving to completely new package. So I can give package name here. So exception handling programs. The first one I'll show you arithmetic exception. So don't write arithmetic exception. So give a different name because arithmetic exception class is already available. All these classes, exception classes, are available in the java.lang package. So where is system class, or string class, or print stream class, or object class, and all exception classes are available in the java.lang. Even all wrapper classes also available under java.lang package. See that how many classes under one package. So take the main method, you can write. So I'll declare one local variable. Again, I'm so making you to remember local variable syntax. So int I equal to 25. Maybe these two I'll do that here. Static. So this one and static. So int instead of that, declaring 2 times. Same line I'll follow. J, just I declared J. I didn't assign a value. So if you don't assign a value, what is the value in this J? So what is the value you have in the J?
Null.
Where?
0. 0 is the right answer. Integer, right? Integer default value, what is that? It's not object, right? Null will be only for objects. Null will be only for objects. So static variable I declared. So access modifier here is a default. So now, so I want to do a calculation here. So int result equal to I by j. So that's what I want to print a result value. I by j result is plus result. Okay. Next I'll write a remaining code. Perform some mathematical operations. So int sum equal to I plus j. Okay, j plus I, whatever it is. So you can print sum of I comma j is so sum int. So multiplication equal to I multiply by j and I so times I multiply by j, so by j output. So then int sub equal to I minus j. See, a lot of statements I am writing. Why I am writing? Just understand this. Okay. So all these lines of code is going to execute for us or not, I want to show you. So I subtract j value. So plus sum. So this is the one I'm just ending the code. Okay. So rest of the code. This is all the rest of the code. So let's execute this. So what will happen? You observe it. I have written so many lines of code, right? What is happening here? What happened? Exception in thread main java.lang arithmetic exception. See, this arithmetic exception default message is divided by 0. What is the reason for arithmetic exception? If you are dividing any number by 0, you will get arithmetic exception. That's the reason I told you. So that's I'm proving here. So you are dividing 25 by 0. Directly you are not using 0, but j value is 0 now currently. That's why you are getting arithmetic exception. So which line? See that you can debug like this. arithmetic exception demo class main method, line number 10. See this line number 10, it is throwing an exception for you. So then declare these two lines in the try catch block. These two lines only relevant. Other lines of code is not relevant to these two things where the exception is occurring. So what is exception? How to handle exception handle? Which line is throwing an exception? That line we should enclose in the try catch block. The try block, basically in the try block you have to write. So you want me to write with manually, or you want to use the Eclipse feature, placing the try catch blocks? Shall I write manually, or shall I use the Eclipse feature? So first let me write manually. Okay, so see this line is throwing an exception for me, so I'll keep this also inside this because these two are relevant. Only that relevant code you can keep here. Then catch parenthesis. So you know arithmetic exception is throwing. So that exception class you are writing. So AE is my thing, and I'm writing sysout catch block started executing. So then I can write some AE dot print stack trace. I can use print stack trace method. This is a predefined method, okay? And even if you want message also, you can print exception message is, you can print AE dot the reference the reference of exception AE dot get message. You have a get message is there. Can you see this? This message you can use. So even get cause also you can use, get message, all the methods I'm just introducing for you here. I can call get cause also. Get cause for exception. So I can write AE dot get cause. That get cause, it throws a throwable. So these are all I'm just calling here in the catch block. So I'll write end of catch block. See, when there is an exception in the try block, cursor will jump directly to catch block. So then I can write finally block also here. Finally. So finally block starts. So finally block code gets executed always. Finally block code gets executed always. So always going to be executed. It's a finally block. So finally block code gets executed always. So this is the try catch finally blocks I have used. Now see, still here the exception occurs. Then what will happen? Immediately catch block will catch that error and catch block will execute. So exception occurred, then finally block will execute. Suppose you resolve J value you provide, but this rest of the code will execute here. Now, before rest of the code it doesn't execute, right? Now after adding try catch block, this rest of the code is started executing. See this rest of the code out of try catch. So out of try catch finally block code starts from here. See, it is out of try catch. This entire code is out of try catch. But before this code also not executed. But now even the exception occurs also, the rest of the code will execute. That means till the end of the code, it will execute for you if you handle the try catch finally blocks. See that catch block started. See that catch block here, exception occurred. Immediately this line is not going to execute because here you got 11th line, you got an exception. See that 11th line number also you will get very clearly. 11th line you got an exception. Directly cursor will jump to catch block. See that catch block started executing. This statement is executed after this line. So here you got an exception, jump to catch block started executing one by one. Okay, so this is the one. And then end of catch block. Catch block is over. So after catch block over, the finally block started. See that finally block starts. Finally block code gets executed always. After finally block, so all these statements are executing. Out of try catch block, code starts here. See that statement is executed. So all this code is executed. Before it is all not executed. Why? We didn't handle the try catch blocks. That's why it didn't execute for us. Now it executed. So are you clear? So the advantage of try catch finally blocks, are you getting this? Now I'll solve, I'll give the value for the j. Suppose j value I'm giving j equal to 5. Now I have given j value here. So here you declared 0, fine. The next line I'm giving a j value 5. So now say the try block is successful. Then catch block single line also not going to execute. It won't go to catch block. So I'll run in the debug mode also, you can understand. First, without value, I'll show you. Let's see this. See that no exception at all because this try block is successful. So let's comment this and run in the debug mode. Okay, we'll run in the debug mode, then you can understand. Let me run in the debug mode. So it came here. Here we'll put. Okay. So let's run in the debug mode. So that you can understand where the cursor is moving. Okay, that's what I want to show you. Now we'll run in the debug mode. Let me run in the debug as Java application. So that you can understand, it will come and stop there. You can see it will come and stop here in this line. So try block line, it is going to come and stop there. See that it is highlighted. Can you all see highlightation? 11th line. It stopped. It won't perform. Now I need to click on this step over. Next, see where it is jumping from try block. See, it went to catch block. See, the 12th line is not executed. Why? You got an exception on the 11th line. If the try block has an exception, immediately catch block will be called. So now catch block is executing line by line code. See that line by line code is executing. Line by line code is executing. Now finally block is executing. Catch block after immediately finally block code is executing. See that. Next remaining code, all lines of code is executed. So this is the how code is going to execute for you. This is the one. See that. So even the exception occurs also, rest of the code is executed. So this time I'll give a value for j. What will happen? You observe. Run again. Run again. Debug as Java application. Now you see what is going to happen here. See, it stopped here. 11th line it stopped. So we need to process that. See, it went to 12th line. Why? Now j value is not 0. That's why 11th line is passed now. No exception there. Now 11th line, 12th line is executing now. 12th line output will print for you. So then it is just checking here catch block. So will it go inside? You can see that. Whether it is going inside or not, you just observe. Just observe that. Where it is going to jump now. See, it directly jumped to finally block. It didn't enter inside the catch block. If there is no exception in the try block, it won't go to catch block. If there is an exception in the try block, then only catch block will execute. Then finally block always executes. Whether exception occurs or not, it doesn't matter for that. That's why always that code will execute. See, before exception occurred time also finally executed. Now there is no exception in the try block. That time also finally block code is executing. See, the rest of the code is executing for you without any problem. So this is the Java try catch panel. Okay, so that's it. This try catch block. How it, any doubts here? So you need to understand this, how the code flow is going. That's a very important. Even in the if else, if you get a problem, you need to handle try catch block. If you get in the if else block code inside, if you get an exception, again you need to add a try catch there. Try catch is something you are getting a exception on that line, and this will handle your rest of the code will execute with this. If in the problem is there in the if block, your rest of the code continues, right? Or it will exit there. But that is different. That will check the condition. This is not checking the condition. How you can so compare with if else? If else is different. Here you are checking any condition here. Then you are weak with the if else conditions. Without condition true, true or false. But where is the true false here? You can write n number of lines of code in the try block here. Any line throws an exception, it will call the catch block. If no exception in the try block never called, and it will jump to next lines of code. So entirely different finally, try catch, finally, and if else. If else is condition based, but this is not condition based. This is the code, lines of code. Which line is throwing an exception? If there is an exception, catch block will call. If there is no exception, catch block won't call. Basically, the entire program execution will be maintained smoothly if you handle try catch block. Even the exception occurs also, the rest of the code executed for you. This is the points you need to catch. Before, if without handling this try catch block, it stopped here only, right? Rest of the code is not executed. I don't know whether you observed or not. So before handling the try catch block, it stopped on this line only. Rest of the code is not executed. Now even the exception occurred also, the rest of the code is executed. How is it possible? Who is doing that? Try catch block is doing that. Even the exception occurs also. The exception will be thrown to you, but rest of the code will continue. That's the advantage with the try catch blocks. And exception handling concept is that one mainly. Even the exception occurs also, your rest of the code will execute for us. If that is not relevant to you, see, so this code is not relevant to that try block code. That's why my rest of the code, I'm able to test it. You can test your rest of the code if you handle these try blocks. So that's all for the day. Tomorrow, I'll show you